Hello! I got my first problem as a landlord. I told a buddy of mine, he's a wealthy real estate owner. He owns a lot of property. That I was going to be renting out one of my properties like 2 or so weeks ago. I was like, yeah, you should go out and take a look at it. It's not too far from your business here in Lexington. And, once the land is rented, that offer expires because it doesn't matter who owns the land, who's paying to rent it is now that's their property, even though they don't own it because they're renting it. And so I went out to deliver the mailbox key to the lady that's renting my property. And she told me about this strange tall guy that wandered on the property, and he says, I have permission to look at it. And she got spooked, and she went back into her trailer, but she got like a miniature German Shepherd, and barking at the guy, and she went back in her trailer, and I think she locked it. Not her trailer, her home, excuse me. I'm confusing that renter with my other renter who has a trailer on my farm into her home there. And turns out my buddy, even though he saw, this lady that he doesn't know living on the property, he just wandered out there. This is Kentucky too. You don't do that. People can, legally they can. And he called me up and he says, I want you to know that, that property you told me to look at, I wandered out on there today because I went out there today to deliver a key. And she said, I had no idea who was wandering. It's like, I don't know who that could be. I'm getting liability insurance from State Farm. And I said, maybe one of their adjusters came out there to look at the land because they said they would. And he called me up like an hour or so ago and said, yeah, I was out there wandering on the land. And I was like, nice guy, really nice guy. I like him a lot. I wanted to tell him, there's a lady on there that you scared, my renter. You just you don't go and do stuff like that. And also too, she could have, you know what I mean? Bad things could have happened. I just, you see somebody on there. That's when you give somebody the offer to walk on the land, that offer expires when somebody is renting it. I had no idea he was going to go out there at all, and if he gave me a call and a heads up, I'd be like, no, you can't do that. It's being rented now. Somebody's living there now. Ooh. These are the serious dangers of miscommunication. I am not at fault. He should have called me ahead of time. So there's my first issue as a landlord. But to me, that is extreme common sense. When you see somebody's living on it, the front end of my brain will immediately say, well, I'm not going to trespass on this. Somebody is living there now. There's no way I'm going to trespass on that property, especially in Kentucky. Oh, my God. Ooh. Ooh. Miscommunication can cause a lot of problems. That's why I'm extremely adamant on communicating properly to people things. This whole tariff nightmare has been atrocious. The stock market, and I'm not invested in stocks at all, it's up drastically today. It bounced back up because the Prez said that he'd have a delay on tariffs for 90 days, but only for countries that did not launch reciprocal tariffs against the United States. He said also, too, that it went from 104% on China to now 125%. Citing China's, quote, lack of respect for global markets. His statement is that, I'm getting the important part here quickly, I promise. Based on the fact that 75 countries have called representatives of the U.S., including Departments of Commerce, Treasury, to negotiate a solution, that these countries have not, at my strong suggestion, retaliated against the United States in any way, shape, or form, I have authorized a 90-day pause on those countries and substantially lowered reciprocal tariffs during that period of 10%, also too effective immediately. However, a couple or so hours after that, the White House said that there still would be a 25% tariff on Canada and Mexico to remain in effect. Now, a lot of people with TDS, I don't know if you know what TDS is. You know, they see red. I'm not interested in politics at all. I care about what affects, you know, your average person that's middle class, and I don't even believe in class system. The idea that class is, there's really an intellectual class system is the only real class system that exists. This idea of financial class system is completely ridiculous. Some of the wisest, most intelligent people don't even have a dollar to their name. They live as forest-dwelling sannyasins. Sannyasin, basically in translation, means a recluse. So I don't believe in financial class systems as other people do. There are class systems of wisdom and intelligentsia, or lack thereof. That's the real class system. But the people that actually have TDS, as I call it, and kind of everybody else does call it, is that people are not interested in facts. The orange guy in the White House, and I'm not saying that, Cheeto Jesus I've said before, but I'm not saying that as an attack against him, as some people said in their comments. To me, I just think it's funny. That's the only reason I've said Cheeto Jesus. It's not that I'm going after the guy. I just think it is really funny, but maybe you don't think it's funny. I don't care about politics, but he didn't choose these tariffs. I don't care what anybody thinks of him one way or the other. How could I care less? How could I? Yeah? He didn't choose these. He has a team of expert advisors. Whether you think they're experts or not is another matter. But I mean, he has a team of advisors who advised him endlessly on everything that's being done currently. Yet all the people with, you know, this TDS, as I refer to it, are, you know, going after him as if it's his fault. And then I'm not releasing him from any blame. You know, the fact that countless IRS agents have gotten the axe, I mean, that's a good thing. I can't think of anybody of any class system that loves the IRS. There's a big protest recently on April the 5th, and a lot of them were paid protesters, or as somebody humorously referred to them as rent-a-riot, which I think is funny and extremely accurate. They were asked about the facts. They'd be holding up all these crazy signs that were illogical and irrational. So, you know, what about the sign that you're holding there? Can you give me any facts of why you support that? And nobody did. It's the same way I'll get all sorts of baseless claims made against me, or people will say all sorts of heinous things like, well, that's wonderful. Where's the substantiation, facts, logic, or evidences behind that? In case of metaphysics, there are never any objective facts, but there's rationality and logic behind it. When people make drive-by statements, kind of like holding a sign of protest, you have nothing to back it up. It's like you're out here, and of course a lot of them are paid. Once again, it's a rent-a-riot. It's like if you have nothing to back that up, you know, you're sitting out here all day. You got nothing better to do. You could be working and making money, but you're out here holding up a protest sign, wasting your entire day, and you have nothing. You know, they stop them with a microphone. Could you elaborate on the sign that you're holding? They never have any facts, logic, reason, evidences, substantiation, anything to back it up. Well, I don't have any facts right here. It is just something at the top of your head. Give me some rationality behind your sign. I don't have any. I just feel that way. So, it's just about feelings. When feelings dominate over facts, that's when society gets, of course, turned upside down. I don't know why, and the hypocrisy of people so mad at the musky muskrat. I've railed against electric cars since day one because they're garbage. It has nothing to do with the muskrat joining Team Doge or Washington circles of the White House. All the people that, you know, thought he was saving the planet, and the reason why they bought Teslas is they thought the Earth was turning upside down, and, you know, they were saving. Now they're completely diametrically opposed to him. Nothing has changed with the guy. When I ask them in live stream or anywhere else, they're like, I am no fan of the muskrat. I've never been a fan of electric cars. Never. I know way too much about lithium battery technology to ever support electric cars. Electric cars would be great, actually, if we had free energy. Then it would be awesome. But we ain't no free energy. Not yet, anyway. So, you know, give me some evidences for that. They don't have anything. fork over some proof that the Doge team, which is saving trillions of dollars, is bad. I will listen to the facts, present the facts, logic, and they don't have anything. They'll make wild speculations and conspiratorial conjecture. It's like, where are the facts? So let me see, you're saving billions in dollars, sometimes on a daily basis, of taxpayer money. And you're opposed to this how? So you're in favor of big government, right? Once again, this is a run-a-riot. 90+% of the people out there, they have manufactured signs, by the way. It's like, who's printing these mass-produced signs that they're holding up? They're not like homebrew signs, made with a paintbrush and some poster board from Home Depot. No. The White House says 25% tariffs remain in effect on Canada and Mexico. Seems to be not a collapse, but a transfer of power. On these tariffs, the middle class is tightening its belt, but the powers that be are tightening their grip. It seems more and more the fact that the old world has fallen and the power that decides is taking its place. This doesn't seem to be about saving the economy, but rather about reshaping society. They're talking about all the billions that they're saving, but that's true, but everything in the GOVT is always about misdirection. You say you're doing this, when in reality you're doing that. Every one of us should be warned about losing our choices and about losing our savings. I don't have a 401k. I have put my money where my mouth is. I'm thinking about making a big move. I have a 75-acre farm with a separate deed for mineral rights because there used to be a coal mine underneath it. Still tons. There's still millions of dollars of coal under my 75-acre farm up in eastern Kentucky. Still, of course, it takes millions of dollars to start up a coal mine. But I do have a deed for a big piece of land that has millions of dollars of coal under it. So the land has a separate deed for the mineral rights, as everything up there does. Most people don't have mineral rights. I'm thinking about actually selling that 75-acre farm and reinvesting it into investment properties that have gas, water, and septic system on them so that I could rent them out. Actually, the people that are renting my farm near Berea, Kentucky, they just put up today a yurt. I don't know if you know what a yurt is. It's a circular Mongolian sort of structure. Some of them are really nice. It's held together with sticks and bindings and has layers of canvas that go over it and a stove in the middle. I've seen some really, really nice yurts. They're kind of like Lego kits, basically. Quasi-durable Lego kits. In many cases, a yurt will last longer than a manufactured home will, a mobile home. So I'm not against yurts, but they just put up a nice yurt, and they're going to farm out there. And I rented both of those pieces. What I'm going to do probably is flip my 75-acre farm. It's worth a whole lot more than I paid for it. And use that money and put it into some more places that I could rent out. And that way I could actually have stable income. People complain all the time about property taxes. And my answer to you is, do you have any idea what property taxes in Kentucky cost? Unless it's like around Lexington or Louisville, which is high but still super cheap compared to everywhere else. I mean, that 75-acre farm, last year the property taxes were $90. You heard me right. $90 for 1 year on 75 acres. Cheap! Cheap, 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 cheap. That way I could be more secure, and I might be able to take a day off a week and not work 7 days a week. And then maybe I could take a vacation. So I actually do the things that I say I'm going to do, because people are, hey, he's just flapping his lips. Another guy on YouTube flapping his lips. He doesn't do any of that stuff. Well, I do. I even posted up on Instagram and Facebook my first landlord check payment, as proofs. A lot of people think, well, not a lot, but a few people think, I'm still recovering from the flu here, excuse me, that this is what's going on is the end of globalism. What the Captain Huge, that's another few, he's going to be huge. It's going to be big, beautiful, huge. It's funny when he says that, because everything is beautiful. He's just most beautiful. He's going to be you. Sorry, it's funny. That's not politics one way or the other. It's just funny. I am completely against globalism. Right now, the whole world is completely attached like a leech to globalism. I personally, you can take your own pick, and I don't confuse corporatism with capitalism like most people do. Gen Z. I'll take reindustrialization of our nation here in the United States over factories in neighboring countries. Or as Ross Perot said, when they passed NAFTA, Ross Perot said, you'll hear the sucking sound of all the manufacturing jobs leaving America. And that's exactly what happened. Like garment workers, people that made blue jeans and garments and fabric-related stuff, it dropped like 80% over 20 years. It went, just slid right off a cliff. You're not going to do that here when you could pay, you know, so-and-so across the border, you know, 1/20th as much to do the same job. Ross Perot was right. Hear the giant sucking sound of these factory jobs and manufacturing going across the board, and that's exactly what happened. We need more Americans making stuff. Right now, I spent many years in college, by the way. More than you, just about guarantee it. Most people should not be going to college or look up to, oh God, I can't wait to go to college. Like they can't do anything unless they go to college. You end up with somebody that's deeply in debt, has no real skills. Like, what are you going to do? I have a college degree. So what? Can you do the job or not? I got Joe back here. He's basically illiterate. He dropped out of elementary school. He's making $150,000 a year. You want his job? It's like, who am I going to hire? Joe that's basically illiterate. They can do the job well. Pay him 150 grand a year. Or I'm going to hire the college doink. You know, I have a college degree. So what? Can you do the job? I don't care if you got a college degree. Can you do it? That's why I love and I wished I learned how to weld. Now, when you go in for a welding job, they don't care about your resume. It's beautiful. I love it. I wished all jobs were this way. They don't care about your resume. This is true. Ask somebody that hires welders. What they do is they take you in the back room there. They give you a TIG or a MIG welder, whatever the case is. They're like, you 2 pieces of steel. You weld them together and you bring them back to me in 10 minutes. Maybe 5 minutes, huh? You know, they'll take your resume and they'll crumple it up and they'll throw it behind their shoulder. It's true. True story. It's broadly true. They don't care what your resume says. They might care if you went to the slammer, but even then they don't care. Can you do it or not, eh? Vinny says he wants to see what your welds look like. And you bring in the 2 pieces of steel that have been welded together, and then they'll look at it. And it's either like, it looks like an inebriated parrot did it, or it looks like, a professional. Like, real professional welds, as a professional welder will tell you, it looks like it took a roll of coins, like nickels. I actually say it looks like a roll of nickels. You took a roll of nickels, you put them on their edge, and you pull them out of a roll, and you just like push them over to where they're all like this, like one nickel on top of another nickel on top of a. Ah, it's beautiful. You're hired. I don't care about your resume. I don't care if you went to college or if you're illiterate. Can you do the job or not? Professional welder makes a lot of money. A lot. That's what the United States needs to get back to. Instead of everybody else like, what college did you go to? That sort of stuff was actually worked into people's brainwashing in school. You should go deeply into debt and go to college and get a degree that gets you nothing. It'll get you about enough skills to work at a Baskin Robbins. Yeah, it'll get you nothing. This is something everybody should be hoarding right now, and if you know this or not, but nearly 100% of our vitamins, and like nearly 100% of vitamin C, comes from China. Nearly 100% of the components that make up the constituents of pharma, whatever it is that you need to take, your supplements. I've talked about being prepared many times, but I've never talked about genuinely hoarding items. This is something that you need to consider right now as far as hoarding. 125% tariffs on China. That's the next. China's like, well, you're going to give us 125? Sure, we won't send you the things you need for your vitamins and your pharma compounding chemicals. Just not. Amazon, this breaking news today, is canceling orders for millions of products produced in China over the tariffs put in place. This is breaking news, too, and this tells you what's coming. Moscow, Russia, excuse me, I'm still recovering from the flu, I apologize, is now said that they're not obligated to help Iran in case the United States or that country in the Middle East goes boom. We thought they had their back, but Moscow's made a statement, says they are not obligated to step in and help or support or back up Iran in case, United States goes, I'm not going to use the words. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That is huge news, and that isn't making the news anywhere. Any big news outlets anyway. More tyranny out of the UK. I have to talk about this. This is like the book burning circles, really. The entities in the UK, the tyrannical entities, they banned BitChute. Well, there was a new law put into place. I forget the exact law. That BitChute is essentially, you can't operate in the UK. So BitChute has cut off the UK because these new totalitarian evil laws have been put into place. So now no more BitChute. I know about VPNs, but nevertheless, do you really think if I told you this 5 years ago that it would get so bad in the UK, so bad, that one huge entity, and who's to know who's next? Maybe Rumble probably is next. Maybe Rumble will make the announcement next week. But BitChute said, no dice, no more in UK. It's getting, but this is huge news too. I don't know exactly where they're going to drop their merchandise. That there's a large number of U.S. Stealth planes that are kind of famous for carrying 2,000-pound cluster payloads that have been sent to Diego Garcia. I don't know if that's for Iran or if that is for that large country in Asia there. But there's been a movement of a large number of U.S. Stealth craft that have just made their way to Diego Garcia. Yeah, the Rena riots on April the 5th, were quite amusing. There's people went all throughout the crowds. Says, can you give me your evidences? No, I haven't got any. I just know I'm against it, and I'm really upset about it. You're upset about something you have no facts for, no logic for, no reason for, no evidences of, no substantiation for. You're really mad about it. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I don't have to have facts. I don't know if that is just genuine unintelligence or if that's one of the constituents of the Renta riot. You tell me. I've never told people to start hoarding something. I never have. If you thought I have, you're wrong. I know the things I've said and not said. But if whatever vitamins or compounds it is that you take, that keeps you going, your ticker working, and if I were you, and I'm doing it myself, I practice what I preach, just as I have about land. I would you're making a mistake by not buying at least like a half or 1 year's supplement, half or 1 year supply of the things you absolutely need. Not the things that you want or like to take, but the things that you need. All of those compounds come out of China, or the constituents that make up those compounds come out of China. There used to be a supplier in Scotland for vitamin C, but I hear they don't supply vitamin. It's like 100% China for vitamin C, for example. My buddy called up the guy who does sea salts, which is the stuff I take, and he says he's got about less than a year left, and he doesn't know what's going to happen. Neither does anybody. Going to happen in the next few hours or weeks on that front. But at 125% tariff on China, there's a lot more things coming. A lot. I don't like to speculate. I don't believe in wild conjectures on that front, but it's coming. I got some ideas what those will be. You tell me. I'm always an information sponge. Thanks so much for contacting me. Make sure to check out my Substack below. I have a lot of articles and video. Audio. There for free download. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.